A rabbit hops about rather fearlessly. It's probably never even seen a human. Alexander isn't quite lonely enough to talk to a rabbit. Alexander would look pretty silly diving for that rabbit. There's no way he could catch it with his hands. Alexander is traveling on a path through a dense forest. The woods on either side of the path are teeming with wildlife. Blocking his progress north is a pond that boils with a magical intensity. A pond lies across the path. The water boils as if over some magical flame. The banks of the pond, moistened by the stream, are slowly eroding away. The dirt path from the beach leads straight into a pond. Beyond the pond, the path continues into the forest. An old abandoned hunter's lamp is hanging on one of the trees. Alexander wonders who might have hunted in these dense woods. Tall, narrow trees abound on each side of the path. The forest is dotted with clumps of wild mushrooms. To get to the lamp, Alexander must first cross the pond.
Ouch! That water is hot.
Alexander has no need to carry off sand from the banks of the pond. The tall, narrow trees have sparse and relatively small branches on their lower trunks. They don't lend themselves to easy climbing. Alexander, not being an expert on poisonous mushrooms, decides not to take a chance on tasting the local variety.
Listen here, pond. I wish to pass.
The pond, rather hot-headedly, refuses to respond. The banks of the pond don't utter a word to Alexander. The mushrooms are fundamentally unvocal.
What are you, nuts? Don't put me in that soup bowl of a pond, you crazy human!
Alexander is carrying what little remains of a head of iceberg lettuce. The lettuce is rapidly melting. Hoping to cool down the boiling pond, Alexander throws in a head of iceberg lettuce. The pond's water slowly stops boiling, cooled by the ice. It still looks hot, but bearable. The enchanted pond has been cooled by the iceberg lettuce. Though still hot, it is no longer boiling. The pond is no longer boiling, but it's still pretty hot. The pond gives Alexander the cold shoulder. Alexander decides to brave the steaming pond.
Ouch! Ow! Ooh, 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 ouch!
The pond is no longer boiling, but it's hardly bathwater. Alexander takes the old hunter's lamp from the tree. Alexander is carrying an old, battered hunter's lamp. The lamp is empty. Alexander rubs the lamp, but nothing happens. The lamp does not respond. As Alexander continues down the path, he gets the strange feeling that he's being watched.
Come on over here and see what I'm doing with these flowers. Never mind that stone fella on top of the gate. He won't hurt you any. He's just there to scare you.
The path through the woods runs through a gated wall here. Two stone statues stand guard on the gate's lintels. To the north, the path continues on through a hedge of roses and a dainty gazebo. A man tends to a small garden plot on the other side of the wall. The path passes through a gated wall here, and up ahead meanders past rose hedges and a small gazebo. A gray brick wall runs to the east and west on either side of the path. A stone archer sits atop the lintel of the gate like a silent guardian. His stone bow is tightly drawn and fitted with a single stone arrow. The statue to the left of the gate shows a man kneeling down with his spear as though waiting for a target. A brick lies in the grass. It must have come from the old brick wall. A pleasant-looking middle-aged man is busy tending a small garden just past the wall. A small garden plot is situated just past the wall. A delicate gazebo made of white-painted pine and overgrown with rose vines leads north into what appears from here to be a garden. Flowering rose hedges grow on either side of the path winding north.
I'm Alexander of Daventry. Who are you?
What difference does it make? Just come on over here. I'll tell you my life history if you still want to hear it.
Tell me.
If it's conversation you want, just come on over here. I'll talk your ears off if we can sit down and talk face to face.
Look here, Archer. Do you mind if I pass?
The archer retains his stony silence.
Come on through, I say. I can show you a path through the forest.
The stone statue doesn't respond. The wall seems to be fresh out of topics to converse on. The brick has nothing constructive to say. Alexander can't reach the gardener from this side of the wall. Something about the archer makes Alexander reluctant to get too close to him. Alexander cannot reach the statue atop the wall. Alexander closely examines the stone wall, but doesn't see anything other than gray bricks. Alexander picks up the brick. Small speckles of sand stand out against the otherwise gray brick. The brick feels very heavy and solid in Alexander's hand. The brick is already heavy enough to carry around without playing with it.
Perhaps you'd find this interesting.
Sure, bring it on over to this side of the wall where I can see it better.
Throwing the brick at the stone archer might scratch his marble, but it won't stop the archer's vigilant watch over the path.
Look, there's no point in hanging out here all day. I can show you the wondrous castle that lies in the middle of the island. Don't be so timid. You aren't gonna listen to me, are you? Well, we'll just see about that.
That's odd. The gardener just disappeared. Alexander pulls out his magic map. Alexander feels a strange pulling sensation.